What up, y'all? It's your boy. We're back at it. Episode 33, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got a little different setup. I felt, you know what? I switched it up. I felt like this is a little bit better. I love sitting on the couch. Sometimes I get too low. I don't know if you guys ever feel like that in a situation where you're a little too low to get the energy up. I haven't been in a day job for a long time, but your boy was a stander. I wasn't always a stander, but I did like to I like to move around. If I ever got anybody on the phone call, your boy's walking around the office talking that shit, letting people know that this sale is going down, or at least I'm, saying some shit to them that's at least entertaining to the people around me, because this sale's falling apart. You know what I mean? But so yeah, I switched it up. I'm over here. I'm over here now. I used to be over there, and I'm over here now. Shout out to Casino, if you know what I'm talking about. You over here now? Yeah, I'm over here now. It's Joe Pesci. So yeah, we're here. We're up in this bitch. Episode 33. 33 episodes of this thing. 33 is a good number. 33 is actually one of my favorite numbers to bet on roulette. If you didn't know that about me, if you've never played roulette with me, I actually bet all the double numbers. I have a strategy that involves covering about a third of the table, but I don't do it as the table tells you to, right? I don't know if you've ever played roulette, but it's obviously 36 numbers plus 0 and double 0. And they split it into thirds, and you can bet those thirds portions. I don't do that. I'd pick my own numbers. And 4 numbers that I always bet are the double numbers. 00, 11, 22, 33. I love those numbers. Eric Montross, Barry Larkin, Emmitt Smith, Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen is the 33 I choose to, connect 33 with. A lot of people go Larry Bird. Obviously, I'm a white man. I probably should go Larry Bird. I don't know why. I was never a Larry Bird guy. Was never a Boston Celtics guy. Grew up born in 86. Bird was retired by 92. I think he was pretty much done with the back injuries. So your boy was a Pippen guy. I was a Michael Jordan Bulls guy, for sure. And Pippen. It was cool to think Scottie Pippen was a cool dude back then. Since then, he's retired, and now he looks like a crazy person. I don't know if you're staying up to date on what Scottie Pippen's doing. What's up with Pippen these days? He has since kind of tried to take the crown away from Michael Jordan's achievements as an individual player. He's pretty much said he wouldn't have won any of those championships without him. I actually agree with that. I don't think you're winning all those championships without Scottie Pippen. It's a 5-man team. You know what I'm saying? He was one of the greatest perimeter defenders of all time. But then he does crazy shit, though. He says crazy shit, and he never really gives Michael Jordan his credit after that Netflix documentary. Was it Netflix or ESPN or something? You know the documentary, the Michael Jordan documentary. And Pippen is kind of always very passive-aggressively shit on Jordan's accomplishments. Sometimes not passive-aggressive, sometimes kind of aggressively. And the beauty of that is that recently, in this past year, his ex-wife is now marrying Michael Jordan's son. So that's a big L. And I'm not talking about the rapper from the 90s. That is a huge loss for Pippen. And I think Michael Jordan has won this. The battle and the war was won by MJ. He didn't even have to do anything. He spawned a son that fucked your ex-wife. Tough loss. And also, I think her name's Larsa Pippen. You can look up some stuff that she said, but she talks about, there's an interview where she likes to get fucked like 5 times a day or something like that, she'd said, which is, that seems exhausting. I am 37 years old now. If I can get 3 in, 5 a day is crazy. I need to backload myself for several days to get 3 is like a big day for your boy. And you know what? I'm sorry if that's too much information for y'all, but I'm out here fucking sometimes, multiple times a day. My bad. I squeeze it in. I make time. But yeah, this chick is banging 5 times. That's like, what are we doing here? This is a lot. And Scottie knows that, so now he knows that his girl's out there getting piped down by MJ's son. It's a tough year for Scottie Pippen, but still one of the best 33s I know. There's probably some other. Honestly, Larry Bird is a better 33 if we're really litigating it. And then, who else? There was a good 33 on the. Oh, Darnell Burton, I think, was 33. If you're a Cincinnati Bearcats fan, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe we have some good Bearcat, one or two good Bearcat 33s. And then Tony Dorsett, also pretty good 33. But, you know, here we are. Speaking of Tony Dorsett, Pittsburgh guy. Your boy just went to Pittsburgh. I did the damn thing. I've never been to Pittsburgh in my life, and I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan through and through. And if you think about it from that perspective too, like born in '86, the '90s were a thing. So like all my earliest memories of Bengals football was Jerome Bettis running through our fucking porous defense. You know, I can't even think of like who was before Bettis, but like Bettis was really when I was really getting into football, like sitting down every Sunday watching these games, understanding players and shit like that. I just remember never being able to stop Jerome Bettis ever. And it wasn't like the Bengals were the only team that couldn't do that. It was everybody in the NFL couldn't do that. And so started to kind of not like the Steelers at that point, but didn't understand that they had a history of the 70s, winning all these Super Bowls, all that shit. A storied franchise. That wasn't things that were in my memory banks. And they got stomped out by the Cowboys in the 96 Super Bowl, I believe, or one of those Super Bowls against the Cowboys. But you just kind of start not liking this team. Also, the Bengals were getting beat by everybody, but the Steelers always felt like, you know, and they were also good in the division and shit like that. And then you get good as the Bengals get kind of good. Finally, 03, 04 were like 8-8 both those years, I believe, with John Kitna. Exciting, but also not beating the Steelers, but kind of beating them here and there. I think they beat them maybe one time with Kitna. I don't know. But we had like not beat them for a long time. And 05 comes around and you got Carson Palmer, and we got a fucking offense, arguably the most explosive offense in the NFL at that time. C.J. Houshmandzadeh, Chad Ochocinco. It was great. Rudy Johnson, I believe, was the running back on that team. And then it was also like the first year without Corey Dillon. Yeah, I think I'm connecting all these dots correctly. And so that was when the Bengals actually were like, they fucked around and beat the Steelers. And the rivalry had gotten to a point where I fucking hated these guys. And they had a terrible towel. T.J. Houshmandzadeh cleaned his shoes off with it and shit like that. And it rolls all the way into us winning the division that year. And then we had to play the fucking Steelers in the playoffs. And they fucking, you know, and I'm sorry if I'm bringing up things that, you know, a lot of my Bengals cohorts that are listening to this and friends of mine and shit like that you guys know what I'm talking about. But, I mean, that shit was crazy momentum. We had this year that was like from the gods, and we rolled into the playoffs, and we have to fucking play the Steelers. The first game after not having won a playoff game in, I think it was like 20-something years at that point. It had to have been like, yeah, since 1990, 1991. And so it was like, it's just every single step that we've had to take as a franchise, I feel like we always have to fucking run into the Steelers. And we have never truly answered the bell. And in 2005, you could argue it was fucked up. They rolled into the defensive tackle or defensive end, Kimo Von Olhoffen, rolled into Carson Palmer's knee on like the second play from scrimmage on our offensive end. We held him to a 3-and-out, and then we go deep and throw like a 67-yard bomb. And on that 67-yard bomb to Chris Henry, R.I.P., Carson Palmer goes down with a fucking knee injury, tears every fucking thing in his knee. And it was so bad that they ended up changing the rule in the offseason so that you couldn't go after the lower body of a quarterback, or it was a penalty or some shit. Because of that play and multiple other plays, but definitely that play was the big one because it ruined a fucking franchise quarterback's ability to make a run in the Super Bowl. Because I say a lot about that game. That game fucking sucked. It was the most excited I've ever been in my life about a Bengals game. I was alone in Cincinnati, sitting on a couch in my mom's apartment in Loveland, Ohio. And I just remember just fucking hating it. I think my brother was at the game too. And you want to see grown men cry? That day, grown men cried in the streets of Cincinnati. And we almost we stuck around. I think we were winning the game at half, and then we just got blown out in the second half. But those are the type of memories where you're like, fuck this team. And on top of that, it didn't feel good that they injured our fucking quarterback. And, just fuck that team, right? It's just a team that you just fucking hate. From that, for sure. That's a memory that you just hate. And then also they go on and win the fucking Super Bowl, and that was fucking horrible. And I'll tell you right now, Hines Ward's foot, or what's his name? Not Hines Ward. Santonio Holmes' second foot still hasn't touched the end zone. I'll stand by that. And so that was just a horrible thing. That wasn't that one. That was actually the Seahawks one, I believe. And then the one where the Santonio Holmes didn't hit it was the Cardinals one. You guys know what the fuck I'm talking about. Either way, that shit was painful. It hurt my fucking feelings. And it was the start of me truly not liking this team. And then we're good from 05 till I don't know, 2000. Honestly, from 2005 until now, you can't really argue that we've been a bad franchise. We've been a good franchise. We've been a competitive franchise the whole time. There's been some down years. There's been some 4-12 years. There's been even some. I think the worst was 2-14 with Zach Taylor. I don't know if we ever did that with Marvin Lewis, but they have been consistently pretty good. Even if they've had a 4-12 year, or a 2-14 year, the next year we get Burrow and we kind of get back to cooking, right? And we've been able to bounce back from the Marvin Lewis era was frustrating, but also strong the whole time. But during the whole Marvin Lewis era, we just could never beat the fucking Steelers. Again, in 2015, we're back. We win the division again. I think we go 6-0 in the division that year, which is crazy because right now we're 0-5 in the fucking division. If you want to win that, I don't know. The weirdest thing back then was we actually made a team that could win the AFC North because we were gritty, we were grimy, we were tough on defense, all that shit. We were run heavy, all that good shit. But we couldn't win the games outside of the division. We couldn't beat the fucking Texans, or we couldn't beat the Jets beat us a couple times. We couldn't beat anybody outside of the division. Now we have a team that actually can dominate teams outside of the division. I think we're 8-2 outside of the division, and then we're 0-5 in the division. Crazy. I don't know if that's a good or a bad. It's definitely not a good thing to be 0-5 in the division. I also don't think that we're as bad as that record is displayed. One of those games we lost Joe Burrow. The next game was the first game that Jake Browning had started. Earlier in the year against the Ravens, Joe Burrow clearly wasn't healthy. So there's – and the Browns game, we got our fucking ass whooped first game of the year, but also Joe Burrow was fucked up. So, I don't want to put an asterisk next to it, but, I'm out here making excuses for my guys. But back in 2015, that was the next time that we were fucking dope as shit. And the whole implosion against the Steelers happened again. And it's always that's the most, in the moment, it was the toughest fucking thing. I remember being in 05 and thinking this couldn't get that much worse after the Carson Palmer thing. And then 2015, after Burfict hits Antonio Brown, and then everybody gets on the field, and then Joey Porter instigates things and gets Pac-Man Jones to get a fucking flag thrown on him because he's going back and forth with the officials. That whole fucking thing was definitely a low point in being a Bengals fan for sure. It's fucking trash. And also you're angry because the Steelers got away with doing a couple extra things in that game. But as a Bengals fan, you can't really talk that much shit because your team fumbled the ball. All we needed to do to avoid that entire thing was not fumble the ball, with possession going down to, winding the time down, all that shit. That did happen. We fumbled the fucking ball. But, they always get these little ticky-tacky things that go in their favor, and it's just fucking – it is. I did a rant on Instagram about it, and it's just fucking – you can't keep getting away with this shit. They always do little shit that just fucking – it's like Big Brother shit where the Big Brother is always getting away with it, and the parents don't fucking care because he's the big – he gets away with, doing the fucking extra jab in the ribs and shit like that, and you complain to your parents, and they're like, no, you're always whining about shit. You just fucking – it's always the fucking Steelers. And it's always been this team. I've always fucking hated this team my entire adult life. I've never been to Pittsburgh actually to watch this team play the Bengals. And after all that I just said, all this history with them, all this fucking memories of the Steelers fucking with the Bengals, I literally go in there with a little bit of, honestly, weird confidence. I don't know. Like, we have a backup quarterback. They had a backup quarterback. They're playing really bad football. They're losing to 2-win teams, like back-to-back weeks. They lost the Patriots and the Cardinals, I think it was. And I'm like, shit, we could fucking beat the Steelers right now in Pittsburgh. Get a W, lock in, shit like that. And literally I go and I have the most Steelers-Bengals experience you could fucking ask for. Walked in there with a little bit of swagger, a little bit of confidence. I wasn't talking a bunch of shit. I'm still always going to say fuck the Steelers, but I wasn't in there like, yo, we're going to whoop that ass and shit. I definitely thought we could win the game. I definitely didn't think it'd be a fucking blowout. And, like, literally go to the game. We end up losing 34-11, but within, like, the first, I think it was early in the second quarter, we were down 21-0. We're down 24-0 at halftime, but it was like 14-0 pretty quick. And so you're just fucking, I'm just sitting there like, God damn, this is the feeling I have to feel right now. But it also was the most, to see it in person was probably needed. I've been through some dark stuff this year. That's all I'll say. I've had to witness some pretty low points. I had to go on the divisional scale, I had to go to Cleveland, sit in the rain, and watch them get beat 24-3. And then I had to go to Baltimore. I couldn't even get in the stadium because it was like I've talked about that, but we overestimated the ability to get a ticket like last minute. It was a Thursday night football game. That was on us. Stupid planning. So I didn't actually have to physically go watch it, but I was in Baltimore at a bar, in a Baltimore bar, surrounded by people that were Ravens fans, to have to watch Joe Burrow get injured for the year on national TV. That was fucking horrible. And now I've gone to Pittsburgh to watch, and I got like, it was cheap tickets too, which was crazy. It was like $100. I got like fifth row, and in one of the corners of the end zone. So, but I was like right on the line of the end zone. It was great. It was good. It was fine. And I had to watch that in Pittsburgh and just get our asses whooped. So that was not ideal. That was some of the most. It was also like I just was sitting there, and you're just like, God damn, this feels like this feels appropriate. I would have rather get beat by like 1 point. Somehow that would have been like okay with me. But getting our asses whooped was just like, what the fuck? And on top of that, I do videos every week before the games, and we're just talking football shit. And also, like, if it's a team that I really don't fucking like, I'm going to say what I say. It's never really about the fan base. It's more about the team. The Steelers, I hate the Steelers. I actually have, like, met people. One of my biggest crushes in college was a Pittsburgh Steeler fan. I think that's why it didn't work out. It wasn't because she was completely out of my league. But, no, like, I know people that are Steelers fans. They're fine people. At the end of the day, I'm always going to say fuck the Steelers. But, like, there's so many fucking Steelers fans out there. You're bound to have a friend or two that's a fucking Steelers fan, right? But it's the actual Steelers that I fucking hate. It's the players have done shit where I'm just like, fuck that dude. Fuck that dude. Like, straight up, fuck Joey Porter. You know what I mean? Then they got in a fight in the offseason, Joey Porter, at a casino with Levi Jones. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? Fuck that guy. So it's really like the actual players that I usually dislike. But, or the whole organization, really. The color schemes, all that shit just makes me angry. It's very triggering. But, yeah, I had to get eyes on that. It was a very Bengals experience. Did the full scope of it. And so I do these videos beforehand, though, and I talk a little smack about the team and shit. And this was one that I kind of went in on, like, the dirty plays that they've had. Go check it on my Instagram. It actually was a rant that I was proud of. Definitely got some Bengals fans hyped up, all that shit. Went a little, didn't go like super viral or anything, but it's, it's sitting at like 150K views, which is good for Instagram always. And getting a bunch of people get eyes on it and shit. But after the game, most of it actually, it's only gotten to, I think once the game started, it was at like, let's call it like 80,000 views or something like that. It is now at 160,000 views, and that is because Steelers fans are commenting on it like 7 comments an hour and just saying, fuck you, you fucking pussy. It's pretty much just like 45-year-old dudes that, are still in a marriage that they hate, that are raising a couple kids that they don't love, that are really talking shit to me. They got a man cave that they don't let their children in because they don't want them to fuck the carpet up, and just calling me a pussy. It's like, you should see some of these dudes' Instagrams that are like saying some fucked up shit. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Most of these guys are just, not the dudes that you would want to hang out with at a family reunion. You know what I mean? These aren't people that you would trust in your inner circle. And they're just talking some shit, calling me pretty poor names. So that's why it's continuing to go viral. So that's been tough. But you know what? I own it. That's what I do. I'm out here. I like to talk a little smack. I like to get involved with the fans and shit like that. It's been a very fun year doing that. Obviously going town to town, messing with the tailgates and shit like that. And it's, it's a poke the bear thing. Because I'm not going to get into the nuanced conversation in these comments. Like, these dudes are talking shit like, yo, you fucking sound like a fucking idiot. Didn't work out for you. It's like, honestly, I don't want to go back and litigate the specifics of what was said in the video, but I actually didn't predict that the Bengals would win. I rooted for them to get a W, and I talked about the past and the Steelers and why I don't like you guys because of things that have happened in the past. And they're all sitting there like, you sound like a fucking moron thinking the Bengals were going to win that game. It's like, I actually didn't think the Bengals. I thought that they might win the game. I was optimistic that it would be a good game. But, you look like a fucking idiot in the comment section saying like, well, to be fair, I didn't actually, think that you guys wouldn't win the game. Oh, so you got to not, I'm not going to shut the comments off. I'm not a pussy like that, but, I should stop reading them. Some of them are pretty funny, but most of them are just dudes that, their entire life is fucking domestic beer and fried food, type of guys that like know where the closest Ruby Tuesdays is, shit like that. And they're opinionated. They think, having a mudslide is like a fancy drink. You know what I mean? Just because it comes in a martini glass. It's like, dude, that is a chocolate milkshake with vodka, big dog. You might want to chill. You've had 4. Okay? So that was the Pittsburgh game. And the Pittsburgh experience overall was, I will say, like I said before going there, not actually that bad of a city. These cities are pretty much the same as Cincinnati. The AFC North cities are all like kind of comparable in a lot of ways. The accent in Pittsburgh, I don't know how the fuck that happens, how they get to talking like that, but that is very specific. It is also, it's so specific, but it's a lot like Baltimore too, which I thought was weird. It's super like just that pocket, but it has a little bit of Baltimore in it. But Baltimore does more things with the U2, the ooze, whereas Pittsburgh does more with the as. Downtown. Downtown is downtown. Get those little icy lights downtown. It's an odd little pocket of the country. And also when you're there, it explains people from Pittsburgh a lot. When you actually like see it, eye to eye there's so many of these motherfuckers. Walking to the stadium too. I'm in like a Bengals jersey. I rock a Jamar Chase jersey. And I walked into the stadium and I'd never seen that many Steelers jerseys in one place. It was it was so much black and gold. And it really made me uncomfortable, angry, all that shit. It was, and also like I know you're saying like obviously it was a Steelers game in Pittsburgh, but like I don't know, you don't think about it until you see it. I remember turning the corner out of the parking garage that I was at, and I was like, this is fucking more than I expected. I did not expect this. And I'm walking through it, and they're all just avoiding me. I felt like the little, you know, I don't know if you've seen World War Z before, but there's a little sick kid, and all the zombies run around him. It is actually the moment that Brad Pitt realizes that this could be the key to the civilization continuing to fight on. I felt like that. All the zombies are running around me, and I'm just this fucking little cancer patient in the middle just trying to avoid these motherfuckers. And so, World War P. You know what I mean? And, yeah, that was... but Pittsburgh in general, decent people, you know. I had a comedy show. It went well. They were very fun to mess with. It was very much like Cincinnati in the way that there's a river downtown. I also will give them the fact that like the Three Rivers thing and like seeing where the stadium's at and shit like that, it's a dope setup for a city. You can see why you have pride in the city, and then also like experiencing it from I was there for like 2.5 days. I'm kind of chilling with people. You can see just like Cincinnati, you can see how people just want to get the fuck out of there when they turn 18, or you know you just want to move to the suburbs and start a different family and get away from it. I'm sure it's a city that is dope and you can have pride in, but also like once you figure out what you can do in that city, you're like, I'm kind of tired of this place. This is monotonous. There's 5 good restaurants in this whole fucking place. You know, shit like that. It's not a culinary experience that you're going to want to brag about. Speaking of culinary wise, I did go to... They have a thing that is popular there called Primanti Brothers. If you've ever looked on social media or whatever and seen people go to Pittsburgh, it's probably one of the things that people do. It is a sandwich spot, and I'm not going to lie, you know, and this isn't the hater in me. That was pretty underwhelming. I think I thought it was going to be a game changer, like a life changer. It was pretty not that. It's a sandwich. And first of all, I fucking love a sandwich. I actually really like a good sandwich. I'm out in LA. You come to LA, whatever part of town you're living in, I'll tell you the closest good sandwich. There's one in Pasadena. There's some old dude that makes a fucking... It's called Roma's, I believe it is. It's fucking great. Super simple. You're in my hood, Larchmont Wine and Deli. There's a place called All About the Bread. It's fucking fire. You got a place out in the you can get the Godfather out in Santa Monica. I can't remember exactly what the spot is called. There's a place called Mike's Deli down in Manhattan Beach. There's a lot of good shit. There's great sandwiches. I love a good sandwich. Primanti's is a thick piece of Italian bread. The meat, the cheese, typically. I think you can probably get it without cheese, but what I got was with cheese. Maters, French fries, like steak fries. I think they're, whatever, French fries. And coleslaw. Coleslaw has their own little, I don't know what it is. Now, if you know anything about me, I don't do maters. Maters kill my old man. I don't do tomatoes. So I hold the maters. Thank you. And I got the coleslaw, fries, all that shit. And I looked it up. I was going to do the number. They got a couple things. There's one that's like pretty much a burger patty. And then you get all that shit on there. A couple different options. And they seemed pretty popular and all that shit. So I was going to get one of those. Luckily, here's what. I do research. They were taking a little bit of time to get me to get my order. It was pretty busy. It's fine. I'm sitting at the bar. I'm like, shit, let me look this up. I go to a Reddit account. It says, like, what to do at Primanti's. I hope I'm saying that right. Primanti's? I think it's Primanti's. And the move was capicola with cheese, add fried egg. And so I did that. And it was like a lot. That was like it was pretty much, the first thing was like, this is the move. This is the only answer. You don't need to look at other responses. And I continued to look at other responses just to verify. And it was pretty much that. There's some other people that had some variations, but that was the move. Capicola, a little gabagool, huh? A little fried egg, a little gabagool, what we doing? And I did that. So capicola, cheese, you get the fried egg on there, you got the French fries, coleslaw. It's stacked high as fuck too. But you can smush it down, but it's stacked to a degree where you're like, whose mouth is this big? And so I did that, and it's fine. It's a very regular sandwich. It is like sometimes when I bite into a good ass fucking sandwich, I'm like, dude, you just know. I think the bread is the key to everything, but also like the first couple of bites, the whole thing fucking makes sense. I got a spot up here, Larchmont. The bread's fucking amazing. It's so fucking good. But the ingredients are also super fresh. But all they do is they throw I think it's arugula on there. But they have this spread. It's a sun-dried tomato-based spread. And it's fucking crazy. And then they do olive oil, they do vinegar. But the spread, it's something about the spread. There's always the one thing. And I guess the one thing with them is like obviously adding French fries, which that's the way that they do it is dope. But I put French fries on sandwiches before. I've been a hammered drunk throughout my 20s and most of my 30s. You know what I mean? You think I put French fries on a sandwich? On a fucking Big Mac or something like that? But the French fries is unique, I guess. You don't see a lot of places actually do it out the gate. And then the coleslaw, I think, is supposed to elevate it. But it's like, I don't know. It was fine. It didn't elevate it to a point where I would fucking blog about it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't tell my friends you got to go there. It's definitely not a thing that I would think about anymore. This is the most I've thought about it since, right? And I wouldn't, crave it. Like, there's sandwiches out here that I fucking think about. You know what I mean? Something that, takes up time in my mind. I crave it. The Larchmont sandwich, again, keep talking about it, but it's fucking great. All about bread. The Italian sandwich over there is fucking phenomenal. Honestly, chain-wise, fucking Jersey Mike's. I think about you sometimes. And I'm glad that Danny DeVito is, holding the torch for you guys right now with the advertising. It's fucking great. It's good communication to have. I appreciate it. And it's fucking good. I love Jersey Mike's. Number 8, dude. So, yeah, but Primanti's. That was the thing you're supposed to do. And I'm here to tell you, honestly, if you go, you should fucking do it. You should do it. But, I've had better. I could have gone to the Five Guys, been fine. You know what I mean? But I was down in Pittsburgh. You do as the Pittsburghians do, as they say. And overall, also, obviously the game sucked and the result of the game sucked. The tailgate was fun. Fucking with the people were fun. The people were overall very good people. The women, I would say, were it's always funny to get eyes on the women of each city. Tough looking broads. These are women that are gritty in this city. I would say that I remember walking, I left the hotel, and the first 2 women I saw, I was like, are those dudes? And did they just get off of their union pipe fitting job? You know what I mean? These were women that were, and I think they were lesbians. If I remember correctly, that was the conclusion that I came to. I didn't communicate with these. This was just getting eyes on them. But, they're in overalls. They got, these are just, women that have been ridden hard and put away wet type thing. These are women that are just tough. I wouldn't fuck with them. These are women that look like they have recently gotten to a bar fight, for sure, and won that fight. It looks like in Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh's a city with a lot of domestic violence, and I think the women initiate a lot of those fights, and the women win those fights. You know what I mean? I think men are getting their asses whooped by their wives in Pittsburgh type of shit. Just tough-looking chicks. And, and then you either got tough-looking chicks or you got these chicks that, they look like their whole style is from, the mid to late 90s. They got, this big hair. They got these big glasses. They look like their whole style is based on, an episode of, some TGIF shit they saw on ABC in the late 90s. And, that's their whole hairstyle still. And they haven't changed it in years. And they've been going to the same chick forever. And they're dyeing it now because it's getting gray. They're holding on to their color from their 40s and shit like that. It's just, it's an interesting city for sure. All the women also are alcoholics. Again, this is, and I'm from Cincinnati. Like, I love that. I actually prefer that. These are good people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying these are bad people, but there was one chick on the YouTube on my the tailgate video on Mic'd Up. This woman had received an early Christmas present, and it was yellow and black overalls, and she was wearing them so fucking proud. She said, "Look what I got! Look at this! Look at me! I'm doing it! This is the best present I ever got." And I said, "That is the saddest sentence I've ever heard. You know what I mean? You got to shoot higher." She was so excited. Her daughter had just gotten engaged and shit like that. And it's just, you know. Also, there's something to be said for just simplicity. All you got in Pittsburgh, you got a fucking football team, you got a hockey team. Obviously, you got a baseball team. That's not going too hot. But, like, you know, those are the things you live for there. And if it doesn't go well for you, that shit sucks. So, the women are dealing with a lot of stress from the men in that town, depending on the success of their football and hockey team. And I get that. And you could see it in their eyes. Because Pitt football, the college team, they're not going to save you either. You know? So, the women overall were very amusing to see. The dudes were, like, pretty cool. Obviously, in the tailgate thing, I tell them I'm a Bengals fan eventually, and it is what it is. Like, they talk their shit, but, like, it's, you know, we got Joe Burrow. You got Kenny Pickett. What are we talking about? The future is bright. You guys they're always bringing up the past and all that shit. The only confrontation I got into that was real is because the fact is I had to go to this game. It's funny. This is actually the only game I've ever walked into alone with no plans of meeting anybody. So the only other time I walked into a stadium alone with just one solo ticket was Tennessee. In Nashville, I went to a game, but I knew that my homies were sitting somewhere in the stadium, and they were like the 50-yard line, and I ended up getting to sit right next to them. They had an open seat. And so I walked in alone, but I ended up chilling with them the whole time, and it was cool, even though we lost fucking 24-3 or 27-3 or some shit. But I walked into this one not knowing anybody at the game, solo dolo, and it was a little bit a different experience. Luckily, when I got to my seat, I look down the row, and I'm like, fuck, is this just a bunch of fucking Steelers fans? I got it on the visitor side, hoping that there would be a bunch of Bengals fans. It was a lot of Steelers fans, obviously, at a Steelers game. But I go to my seat, and I look behind me, the row behind me, 2 Bengal cats chilling. Super natty cats, too. I don't know. They said they were from, like, the far east side, like the east side. And they looked super natty. The one dude, he smiled immediately, and he had a tooth that looked like it had missed some dental appointments for sure. His front tooth was looking tough. I don't know exactly what was going on in there, but sweet tarts in his youth come to mind. You know what I mean? This is a dude that's never skipped a serving of nerds. He's got a fully formed opinion on nerd ropes. He loves them. You know? He goes to sleep thinking about them. So, tough dental experience for the one guy, but super natty cat, good dude. And then he's with another guy that, like, eventually we got to talking. He's been to, like, a bunch of road games. I think last year he's trying to go to all the road stadiums in the NFL, which I respect. I think I'm not even trying to do that, but I'm probably almost halfway there. And he was saying he's got this white T-shirt on. And he said, I almost didn't get into the stadium because I didn't have a shirt on. And he's got this plain white tee on. He said, I had to go find this from somebody and get a plain white tee to walk into the stadium, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what's going on? And I see he's got some stuff under his shirt. And he's got this spray paint on his body under his shirt. But he's not taking it off. But he's like, I got Jake Browning's jersey spray painted on my body. And for some reason, I didn't think about it in the moment, but he didn't take his shirt off immediately. And I'm like, you know, if you did that, you should probably just take your shirt off at that point. But he did not. And then we're down 14-0. And I think we went all the way down to 21-0. And I finally looked at him. I'm like, bro, you should fucking take that off because we need some fucking life in us. You know what I mean? Because then you're at a point where it's almost embarrassing to take it off because you got Jake Browning spray painted on your body. But the worst thing that happened was the entire section starts screaming, take your shirt off. because they knew that it was under his shirt, and he had told enough people. He's like, I got this shit, blah blah blah. And the whole section starts screaming, "Take your shirt off! Take your shirt off!" And I'm looking at him. I'm like, bro, you did this to yourself, first of all, but secondly, you should just fucking take the shirt off, and because they're just gonna keep screaming the shit. And he did finally take the shirt off, and it was amazing. This is a dude that hasn't ever seen the gym. He definitely fucks with Jersey Mike's. You know what I mean? He does the large ones too. You know what I'm saying? They cut it into 4 pieces type shit. The biggest sandwich on any fucking menu. Ungodly. I think it's 18, 20 inches, something like that. He's doing the full Jersey Mike's. He's doing Jersey Michael. You know what I mean? And this is a large dude, just a belly that you'll never forget. Looks like he's bolted turkey recently, type of body shape. You know what I mean? He has a 300 on his, a trophy on his desk somewhere, and he remembers that date. It's actually the date that he got that he bowled a 300 is actually the code for everything that he does in his life, right? That's his fucking password for his phone, all that shit. This is a dude he's done some things. So he takes his shirt off finally, and he is sitting there in a fucking bright orange paint, and Jake Browning just not I keep wanting to say tattooed on him, but painted on him. And it's pretty fucking amazing. And that was the most optimistic I was in the game turning around. I actually thought we had a chance at that point. And then we were down 24-0 at half. And they went to go smoke weed at halftime. I didn't see those boys ever again. And then I was just alone again. I'm just sitting there. It's pretty brutal to be alone in a road game, especially at a Steelers situation, and try to have confidence when you're down 24-0. But I've also been in a lot of road environments. I'm cool. I'm cordial. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing anything too crazy. The weirdest thing that happened, though, is they tried to kick these people out that were standing, though. That was pretty odd to me. There were some people in the front row. Like, I was in the 5th row, I think it was, or the 6th row. And there were people in the very front row and the 2nd row that were all Bengals fans. And they were standing when we were, like, on offense, or if it was a 3rd down and shit, they were standing up. They weren't standing, like, the whole time, but they were standing a good amount of time. It was a big game. It's a huge game. You know what I'm saying? We paid a lot of money to probably be in those situations, to be in those seats. And they were standing, and literally, they called security. Security came down to tell these people that they couldn't stand up in the game. I thought that was some soft shit. And I never want to call a group of people super soft, but that was some weak shit. I will say that. It's like, fucking stand up. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to tell you. I hate when motherfuckers try to tell you got to sit down. It's like, bro, I paid for these seats. I'll be respectful. I'm not going to stand up the whole fucking time. But, like, if it's a big fucking possession or it's a big fucking 3rd down or something, your boy's standing up. And you should be ashamed of yourself for not standing up. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we fucking talking about? But I bought this ticket to have this experience. And it was crazy. They bought this older woman was kind of Karen-ish energy, right? She was like saying, like, sit the fuck down. She was also calling him names and shit, which is fucked up. But he was being pretty cool. The Bengals fan was being cool in the front. But he wasn't going to sit down. And they literally had security come down. And she didn't tell anybody else to sit down. That was just fucked up. It was like, there's other Steelers fans that are standing up and shit like that. And I saw that on Twitter that some other guy got actually kicked out of his section because he was standing up too much. And that's trash. But I saw them try to... They didn't threaten to kick him out, but they were like, they did say if you don't sit down, we got to do more, and nothing ever came of that. But that was fucked up. I didn't like that experience for my guy. He was in a Burrow jersey. He was just feeling himself, trying to have a good time, Christmas Eve. But that was an interesting experience. And then the other time when I was solo, I had to go get a beer, and because I was like, I got to drink this one. We were down like 14-0. I was like, fuck, I need a fucking beer. And I go get a beer. I'm solo. I'm in a Jamar Chase jersey. It's a bunch of Steelers motherfuckers obviously trying to get beer as well. And this dude behind me, at some point, I get up to the front, and he's like, he said it must suck to be a Bengals fan. Doesn't it suck to be a Bengals fan? Or no, he said like it sucks to be a Bengals fan, but he was saying it to like everybody, if that makes sense. He was acting like he was saying it like in general. But I'm in front of him, and I know that he's saying it. You know, he's saying it for me to hear and for me to act like I'm some punk. You know what I'm saying? And he said it twice. And eventually I turned around and I was like, why does it suck to be a Bengals fan, bro? Like, what the fuck you talking about? And he's like, man, I'm sure. What'd you do? You traveled all the way out here? You spent your money just to see this shit? I'm like, yeah, I did. What's up, bro? Like, what's going on? And then he goes and he looks at this other dude, and he's trying to get him involved. And he's like, this dude probably could have spent all this money on his wife and kids, and he spent it on this. I'm like, bro, I ain't got a fucking wife, and I don't got fucking kids. I'm right here, bro. Either way, I didn't want. It's such a weird. I hate being in road games because then you're down 14-0 and you're a little agitated, and still this kid's fucking talk shit. Kid couldn't have been more than like. He's probably 23, 24, something like that. And I'm also not some bitch. You can't just fucking talk to me like that. That's the tough thing is like you're trying to like be a bigger man, but you're also getting mad about sports shit. But you're also like, this kid's trying to fucking tell me like, you know, you should have been spending this on. Oh, you're going broke just to travel around. And I'm sitting here like, bro, I go to every fucking road game. You know what I'm saying? And I finally flipped it on him because I just told him straight up, I haven't missed a road game all year. I go to every fucking road game. I'm a stand-up comedian, and I go to the games because he's talking about how, like, I came out here losing money. It's like, y'all actually paid me to be here. I got money to perform here. You weak-ass motherfucker. What are you doing with your fucking life? You know, I didn't say all that, but my energy was like, yo, yeah, I'm here. I came here. I performed last night. I'm here at the road game for the Bengals. I'm the road warrior. I DDT him right there. I kick him in the fucking chest and fucking give him a fucking pile driver. But no, like I definitely just try to keep it real. Either way, I told him I'm a comedian and shit like that. This motherfucker flipped so quick. He was like, "Oh, that's so fucking cool, dude. How do I follow you?" Blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, motherfucker. Why don't you shut the fuck up, talking shit to another grown man? You know what I mean? About some fucking you must suck to be a fucking Bengals fan. Fuck you, dude. But then you also, you know, did I have to get that angry about it? It's an ego thing at that point, and you know, don't fucking talk to me like that. That's kind of the deal. I wasn't feeling it, and we were down 14-0, and I needed a fucking beer at that point. Other than that, dude, and also like sometimes you just got to check a dude and be like, yo, this is what's happening. Also, I haven't missed a fucking road game. I go to all the fucking road games, but you just got to check a motherfucker real quick and just let them know, and they were cool. He was cool, and most of the people were actually cool, for the most part. Other than the chick that tried to kick the dude out for standing. I thought that was fucked up, and this dude talking a little shit. But also, it's like these young motherfuckers. I remember when I was 22, and I was a fan. Like, that was when the Bengals and the Steelers first had the knee thing. I was 2005. I was 19 years old, you know, about to be 20 maybe. I don't know. And I do remember just fucking, you just talk reckless shit. You're just so hyped on the team. You're amped up. It's a Sunday. You're in a fucking football stadium with a bunch of people that are probably on your side if shit goes down. So it's always a weird thing. So I didn't want to fucking, you know, I understand where that kid's energy was coming from, but I am not the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Don't fuck with me like that. Unless you're way bigger than me, then I gotta fucking, you know, I'm not gonna. I've almost gotten into 2 altercations the last 2 road games. First of all, the Jaguars dude, and now the Steelers kid. But I can talk through these things too. Usually when you really level with the people and it's like, yo, this is what's fucking going on. They're like, oh, that's actually cool. I respect you. But it all starts in a fucking hot-headed place. Cooler heads will prevail, they say. I think Tupac said that. So that was the Bengals experience in Pittsburgh. It was fucking the post is still haunting me. Let's see what the most recent one is. I'm sure somebody commented just now. You fucking idiot, dude. Big Dave, 1964, said, seek help. This is an old man. This age like cottage cheese, that's fair. That's the other thing is, like, you can't really respond to some of these things. You know what? And then some people usually, hey, this is funny coming from a Steelers fan. This is fun. And I appreciate that because it was funny. It's just, we're just trying to be funny, bro. People call us the poverty bungles. Some people just tell me to suck their dick. That's a good one. You know, people are telling me the history of their record. Keep yapping. You lost the Lombardi to a team that didn't even reach the playoffs next year. Oh, they're talking about the Rams. I mean, fuck you. See, now I'm getting angry again. Yeah, it's just I shouldn't read them because then it gets me agitated, and then all of a sudden I'm fucking talking about that. Either way, the weekend was dope. It was good. The show was great. All that good stuff. And now we're on to the last one. So if you know anybody in Kansas City, that's the weird thing too, is it goes straight to Kansas City. And I don't fucking like Kansas City. And also, like, it's crazy. They keep fucking losing. The team is on the – and I love it. And I try not to be a hater too much, but, like, you know, that's the biggest rivalry isn't the Steelers anymore as much as just the Chiefs and the Bengals. And obviously this year was a little different. I do think – it's crazy to think. I know the Burrow injury – we were already like 5-5 or 5-4, something like that, going into the Baltimore game. If he just was healthy, these games would be way different. Like, I think that the Browning run that we did would have been a Burrow run because I think we would have been clicking with Burrow on a different level. I'd like to think. I'd like to be optimistic with that. You know, and potentially we wouldn't have lost that Steelers game the first go-round in Cincinnati when we lost 16-10 with Browning in there. You know, it's like that's what's frustrating. But obviously Burrow's not in, so this rivalry with the Chiefs is a little different. But it's nice to see, like, the Mahomes-Burrow thing is a dope thing for the NFL. Back-to-back AFC championships. It's pretty cool. It's been a nice little rivalry. But it'll be interesting going into Kansas City because they fucking hate us now because we talked a little shit last year and said Burrow had. We didn't say that. Mike Hilton said that. I don't even think that shit sucked when he said that. And then the fucking mayor said it. You know what? I guess we did say it because the mayor is us. I didn't vote for the motherfucker, though. I don't live there anymore. I just like to separate myself from the issue. And the mayor did fuck that whole thing up. I didn't like that he did that, and I apologize on his behalf. But Kansas City, back-to-back big rivalry weeks. And I'm interested to see how the Kansas City fans are with us because this last year I went to the AFC Championship game, and obviously we ended up losing that game. It was a good game, even though they got an extra down on the in the fourth quarter in a pretty pivotal moment on a drive that would have shifted a little bit of momentum. We're going to move on from that, but the Chiefs fans last year were pretty cool people overall, pretty good people. But I know that in the offseason and this year, all they've done is preyed on our downfall, at least on social media. The one thing I will say about that is that the social media dudes usually don't end up at the fucking games. These are people that are usually tweeting during the games and shit like that. Whereas real fans that go to the games are usually pretty respectful. So hopefully it's not too bad. I had a good time in Kansas City last year, even though they lost. So I got Kansas City. If you know anybody in Kansas City, I'm there on Saturday night at Knuckleheads. It's going to be dope. I'm excited about it. And yeah, that's just where it is. Otherwise, we're winding down to the end of the year. It's the end of this the tour. It's been really dope. It's been exhausting. It's been mentally draining. It's been a lot of like exhausting things, but like overall it's been so fucking dope and it's been really cool. I get to go to these cities. People notice me. In Pittsburgh, like people are like, "Oh, I've fucking seen you here and there." I was doing the show last week in Pittsburgh and this dude, I told you guys I had to do the Don't Tell comedy show. So I didn't end up being able to line up my own show and have my own marketing and all that stuff. But it was nice because I ended up doing a really dope show for a bunch of people that were very, very fun crowd. But within that crowd, it wasn't – usually it's always people that are literally there to see me, but it wasn't that. And so it was cool, though, like still in the first row, there was a dude that was like, "Yo, I seen you on TikTok. You popped off," because he's a Pittsburgh fan from Cincinnati. So he's been seeing my shit pop up lately. And it was really cool. It was dope to see people that know me in all these cities. The tour has been super cool. It's been a cool thing to say that I was going to do and then do it and follow through and see the results and all that shit. So I appreciate everybody that's been rocking with me on that. Anybody that's followed me throughout the season that just is getting to know me and now listen to the pod and shit. So much love to you guys. This year's winding down. It's the end of 2023. So, big accomplishments like that. That was definitely one of the coolest things I've done in my career. And also, definitely the coolest thing comedy-wise that I've done this year. And I did, I don't think I was able to talk about this last week when I was talking with Orion, but I also, a couple weeks ago, I did follow Bill Burr on stage, and that was pretty cool. That was one of the coolest things that's ever happened in my career, too. I got to follow him and just interact with him a little bit in the green room before the show, and I went after him on the lineup. That shit was dope, too. And I did my thing. I held it down. He fucking crushed. But then it was, it's interesting having to follow a dude like that, because the first, minute or so, I was just like, let's just observe what just happened. I didn't get right into jokes. I kind of just that was Bill fucking Burr. And people were still kind of in shock. But then once I got into the jokes, I started hitting them in the fucking mouth. It was dope. So that was a cool thing to do. When you get to follow people like that, it's a good ego boost and just a thing where you're like, damn, yeah. You always want to follow the best and be able to say that you did that thing. So that was really cool. So this year, comedically, there's a couple of dope things that I was able to do. I was able to travel more. I went to Honolulu, got noticed in Honolulu. That was pretty dope. And then moving forward to next year, just continue to tour and do things outside of my comfort zone. Continue to, try to get these jokes right and be as funny as I can be. Got some projects that we're working on that are going to be exciting too. Obviously doing this every week, but also improving this too, and trying to get you guys some shit that is properly done, getting more people involved potentially to be able to help make this a better experience for you guys. I'm trying to get things lined up like that, and then continue to tour and shit like that. So if you're in a city that I haven't been in, hit me up. I got ways that you can sign up for notifications when I come to your city, letting me know where I should be performing. So let me know, whether it's a DM or hit my website up and sign up on there. Love to just keep fucking touring and doing my thing. That's the big goals for sure. But yeah, 2024, it's fucking coming. We got I don't know. We got an exciting election year. You guys excited for that? It's going to be an interesting year for sure. Hopefully, I will say, I hope that there's better movies next year. I felt like it was a little bit of a down year for movies, but also there's a lot of shit that came out the last month or so that I haven't been able to see, and I've heard that there are some good movies that I still got to get eyes on. All this week I've been doing, I don't know if you guys did it, but Merry Belated Christmas to everybody that celebrates. Holler at the Christian boys and Catholic girls out there, you know what I'm saying? But Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and all that good shit. Hope you guys had a good one. I don't know if you guys just crush Christmas movies, holiday movies, and shit like that, but that's what I've been doing. I've been hunkered down the last couple days, and we did a good amount of them. I did 4 Christmases, I think it's called, with Vince Vaughn and who was he married to in that? Reese Witherspoon. Pretty decent, fun. You got Robert Duvall. You got some heavy hitters on the lineup as far as cast. You got Sissy Spacek sneaks in there. Vince Vaughn is just, doing Vince Vaughn stuff. I actually did some research behind the scenes. I'd heard about this movie in the past. I guess it's a fun one to watch if you want to just know that I think Reese Witherspoon hated him the entire time that they filmed that thing, because he didn't prepare for any of his lines and he just riffed it every time. And you can kind of see it in the movie. It's pretty loosely put together. It's fun though. It's funny though that nothing is better than nobody's made a better Christmas movie than, well, I will say the last great Christmas movie was Elf, but that was 2004, I think, something like that. That's it. They haven't. The Grinch with Jim Carrey, I think, was before that. Whatever one came last though, either the Grinch or Elf. Those are the last good Christmas movies. I don't know what that says about us as a society. Because Christmas Vacation's fucking classic. I watched that one. But 4 Christmases, they were trying to do some shit. And then I watched The Family Stone, which is a Christmas movie about... If you haven't watched this movie, it's so bad that you should probably watch it. And I said that it was bad recently. I posted on IG about it. And there's people that fucking love it. I don't I don't like movies that make me uncomfortable. That's actually a reason I don't like the original Office with Ricky Gervais, and also like most Ricky Gervais vehicles of show. He just is uncomfortable and makes things super uncomfortable to watch. You're kind of cringing. This movie is like, and that's why I know there's a lot of people that don't love Meet the Fockers or Meet the Parents, I should say, or whatever, whatever iteration of those movies is, because it can be cringy what situations he puts himself in. This is like Meet the Parents if it didn't have any humor in it. It was not a very funny movie at all. It was just Sarah Jessica Parker just being a fucking idiot at a family setting. Like literally, it's a movie where you will scream at the TV like, "What the fuck are you doing right now? Why are you acting like a fucking weirdo in this family setting? Like, have you never been in front of people before?" This movie is insane. It's a couple that is going there. The dude wants to get married to Sarah Jessica Parker. So the family stone is also a double entendre because the family is called the Stones. And then also he wants to use the ring, his grandma's ring, for the engagement. But he's got to ask his mom, Diane Keaton. Shout out to Diane Keaton. And then it just goes from there. But like literally the family immediately hates her. But then you're like watching her and you're like, yeah, of course you fucking hate her. This bitch is horrible. This bitch is doing everything wrong in a family setting. It's just, it's an infuriating movie. You should definitely watch it if you want to be bothered for, I don't know, 100 minutes. And then the way that it flips at the end is fucking, you see it coming from a mile away. You see it coming from a mile away. It's early. It's Luke Wilson's in this too. Hitter of a lineup on as far as casting too. Diane Keaton, Craig T. Nelson, the coach, Sarah Jessica Parker, Rachel McAdams. I think this is early McAdams. I don't know how fresh off Mean Girls it is, but it can't be that long. Who else is in this? Just the whitest cast you can think of. Oh, and then they literally, it's so white that they were like, yo, how do we got to do something to spice this thing up. They cast a gay, deaf brother who's fucking a black dude. And they're like, I think we're good. So that's pretty awesome that they did that. But that was a Christmas movie that was pretty hyped on the lists. We were looking at the lists and like, hey, what's a good thing to watch? All that shit. And The Family Stone came up. And it's a messy fucking movie. There's, it's not a good movie, but you should watch it. You know what I mean? But it's terrible. But you should get eyes on it because you just got to see this thing. And this time of year, what are we doing this week of the year anyway? You know what I mean? People out there, you're fucking listening to me right now. I know you're not working. I know you're not doing anything productive. I know you're thinking about things. You're thinking about, I should probably do that. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't do a fucking thing. This is the week where nothing happens. Nothing gets done. No deals are closed at work. Nobody gives a shit if you sleep until noon. It's a beautiful week. And then you get New Year's Eve. And now I'm 37. I'm completely done with New Year's Eve. I'm flying on a plane on New Year's Eve is the game. The Kansas City-Cincy game is on New Year's Eve earlier in the night. I think it's like 2 o'clock game, 3 o'clock game in Kansas City. And then I am going to go to the game and then fly back late at night because I'm like, fuck that. Because you know what happens as you get older? You just don't give a fuck about New Year's Eve. It's midnight. It's amateur hour. It's people that don't know how to drink. It's people that never go out and get after it and then they end up throwing up before midnight. A lot of these people don't make it to midnight. You know what I mean? Or they get so drunk that they ruin a relationship that really matters to them. You know, that type of shit happens. So, New Year's is overrated. It's not the one. So I'm not doing shit like that. It's nice to stay in the house, kiss your loved one. Well, not kiss your loved one. Kiss the person that you love. Don't kiss your sister or your family. You know what I'm saying? Maybe fuck. Again, couldn't be more clear here. Don't fuck your sister or a close family member. Somebody you love. Do that. Get in there. Do some champagne. Reflect on the year. Pat yourself on the back. Did you do some shit this year? I'm sure you did something. Don't be so hard on yourself. This is me projecting at this point. This is actually what I should be telling myself. Pat yourself on the back. Love yourself. You know? Do all that shit. And then, what was the other thing? Oh, I guess nothing really. I don't know. It's 2024. It's coming up. I'm excited for everything coming up next year, though, and to keep the momentum going. So, as the year winds down, sincerely, to everybody that's rocked with me this year, I truly appreciate you guys. It's been an exciting year for me. I've tried some things that I, maybe should have tried in the past, but I didn't, and try to keep pushing myself, keep rolling with this thing. And the support from you guys has helped me a lot. So 2023 was dope. Truly a special year that I'll always remember. And hopefully 2024 is the one that, things really blow up. So I can't do it without you guys. And we're just going to keep rolling this thing. So appreciate you guys. Happy New Year's and all that good shit. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Whatever the fuck you're celebrating this week. Love you guys. Holla.